This is one of those generalized psychology videos where everything kind of, it's generic knowledge, kind of like the astrology charts that people in the West enjoy. But I always find these entertaining. This is the psychology of people who prefer winter over summer. And I'm a winter person. Mainly because I hate the heat. And the cold, you can always bundle up. Well, depending on how cold.
Funny. Tell someone you prefer winter and their face does this thing, like you just said you enjoy doing taxes for fun. There's this immediate suspicion, like something went wrong somewhere in your development and they're trying to figure out exactly where. But there are a non-trivial number of people on this planet who, when the temperature drops and the sky goes that flat, heavy gray, feel something that can only be described as relief. And the question I
thought everyone felt good, especially when they live in like a summer climate like I do. I live in California and it's a desert. When it gets cold, you just feel better in life. Life just feels easier because right now I have the AC on right here. I have the AC on in the room, and then there's the central AC. I mean, there's AC everywhere.
To dig into is why. Because if you're one of those people, you've probably never been able to fully explain it. You just feel it, and everyone else thinks you're odd because of it. Well, you're not. You might actually be one of the more psychologically self-aware people in the room.
What have I been saying? What was I just talking about? What was I just talking about? Be comfortable with who you are. It's funny how every time I'm like saying something, and the next video I'm checking out always justifies what I'm talking about. Be comfortable with who you are.
And I'll explain what I mean by that. Let's start with the thing people don't say out loud enough, which is that a lot of winter preferers aren't just drawn to cold, they're being repelled by heat. And those are meaningfully different experiences. One is an aesthetic preference, the other is a physical reality that gets dismissed like it's weakness, when it's actually just a nervous system doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Heat, and I mean real summer heat, not a warm bath, is a physiological stressor. Sweating through your clothes before 9 a.m., headaches that arrive uninvited and stay all day. That specific kind of irritability that doesn't...
Honestly, that's the reason I started wearing my hat. That's the reason I started wearing this, because it's just so much easier to shade your entire head than I don't have a ball cap near me. I don't have a ball cap near me. But then that stupid ball cap that doesn't do anything for you. That doesn't do anything. You have to wear something to shade your head from the diabolical sun, from that destructive sun that can cause cancer, because everything can cause cancer. But yeah, it's just like, I like my hat. I like my hat. I like my hat.
Have a target but needs one. The way your sleep just deteriorates. You wake up in a wet tangle and somehow you're supposed to be grateful that it's sunny. The bright, unfiltered light alone can feel like something drilling into your skull if you're even mildly sensitive to sensory input. Summer people thrive in that. Good for them, genuinely. But if you've spent summers feeling overstimulated and vaguely guilty about it, the arrival of cold air isn't a mood.
I don't feel guilt. I know where I'm comfortable. I know where I'm comfortable.
It's oxygen. Speaking of which, most people have heard of seasonal affective disorder in winter. Fewer know there's a recognized summer pattern version, sometimes called reverse SAD, where heat and extended daylight trigger real depressive and anxiety symptoms. Psychiatrist Norman Rosenthal, who first formally described SAD in 1984, had already identified the summer variant by 1989. It's less studied, but it's real. It's documented. And for the people who experience it, every summer is something to survive rather than enjoy. If that landed somewhere specific for you, worth paying attention to.
Winter glazing.
Summer also has this tax that nobody lists in the brochure. Good weather, apparently, means your time belongs to everyone. Rooftop bars appear on your calendar without your consent. Group trips get floated, and suddenly you're the difficult one for hesitating. There's a whole cultural logic where sunlight equals obligation, and opting out of it feels vaguely irresponsible.
See, that's why you have to detach yourself from, like, so there are colleagues, there are friends, there's family, there are categories. And you need to put down your foot on where each category stands. So, for example, colleagues at work, that's the only time I see them. That's the only time I talk to them. That's it. That's it. It's work. It's work. Friends, when we're trying to get together, maybe to play a game or to talk or hit each other up on what's going on, that's about it. And it's all long distance because they're all in different locations in Canada and Detroit and like just everywhere. Just everywhere. So that I know where I'm at there. But the thing is, like, there are those people that they're in groups that just expect everything from them. oh, we have to go do this. We have to go do this. We have to go do this. Oh, the weekend's coming up. We have to go do this, this, and this. Luckily, my personality has kind of, it keeps those people at arm's length because it's obvious that I don't get along with those kinds of people.
Like you're misusing a resource. Winter revokes that. The city quiets down, the invitations thin out, and your evenings stop being something other people schedule for you.
It's mine.
For a particular kind of person.
Yep, like sitting down, maybe sitting by a fire or looking out the window and just enjoying the snow and the sheer isolation of it, the sheer blankness of it. Nobody's there.
That's not a loss. That's the whole point of winter. And look, it's not a hatred of people. Plenty of winter people are genuinely warm, socially engaged humans. What they struggle with is the compulsory version, the socializing that shows up whether you wanted it or not, delivered by the season like junk mail. Winter is the unsubscribe button. You still go out, you just go out on purpose. The research here is interesting. A 2015 study by Oishi found that introverts consistently preferred secluded, enclosed environments and were measurably happier in them. Winter does exactly this to a landscape, closes things down, creates enclosure, narrows the visible world, drops the noise. The whole sensory load of being alive in public just recedes. The short version of the neuroscience, people differ.
And the longer night, the longer dark, because I do prefer, like, I don't mind the sun being out, but I don't want it being out for, hang on, the sun rises at 6 in the morning. No, at 5:30, and it sets at around 9. How many hours is that? You guys do the math. You guys do the math. I think it's 12, 13, 14, 15 hours of the day. Right? Am I right? Is my quick math right? 15 hours of the day, the sun is out. I would rather have 8, 7 hours of the day have sunlight. The rest, dark. So that way you wake up in the morning, you can see the sunrise. You're up during the day, you can see the sunset. Instead of waking up, the sun's already up. Going to sleep, the sun's still up.
Meaningfully in how much environmental input their nervous system can process before it tips into strain. Summer maximizes that input. Winter reduces it. And for a lot of people, that reduction isn't deprivation, it's calibration. But I want to push past the introvert framing because it's a little too tidy and the reality is weirder and more interesting. There's a subset of winter preferers who aren't particularly introverted at all. What they share instead is a very specific relationship with permission. Modern life runs on performance, productivity, visibility, momentum, and summer amplifies all of it. The long days feel like a moral argument for doing more. Even your leisure has to look effortful. There's a quiet guilt that lives inside a sunny Saturday spent doing nothing because every hour of daylight feels borrowed. Winter cancels that debt. The darkness comes early, the cold gives you a reason to stay in, and the world kind of implicitly agrees that slowing down is acceptable. For people who are chronically hard on themselves, who struggle to rest without justification, winter is the only season that hands them one for free. External permission to be a human being instead of a productivity metric. And people don't always recognize this in themselves, which is part of why I just like the cold is the only explanation they can give. The real thing running underneath is closer to, I feel less guilty existing slowly when the world looks like this. There's also something worth saying about aesthetics, and not in a fluffy way. People who love winter often describe it in terms that sound almost meditative. The quiet after heavy snowfall, the way sound gets absorbed, the particular color of light at 4 p.m. in December, that specific blue-gray that sits just before dark, which is honestly kind of extraordinary if you've ever stopped to notice it. Attunement to that kind of detail, the quieter, slower, more overlooked kind, tends to track with a particular cognitive style, depth over breadth, absorption over scanning, the kind of person who reads the last chapter of a book twice, or notices a change in someone's tone before they finish the sentence. Winter rewards that style of attention in a way that summer, with its constant foreground noise, simply doesn't. And then there's identity. Summer comes with a costume. A whole performance is expected. The social version of you, the active version, the one with plans and enthusiasm for things that
doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. I think this also has to do with, like, I know who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. I think this is primarily for those who feel like they have to put forth a performance. I don't feel I have to put forth a performance because if people don't like me for me, then that's their problem. And obviously, I'm not going to put in an effort because I don't care for them. That sounds bad. That sounds bad. But that's the thing. All that matters is what I think of myself, what God thinks of me, and of course, above all else, what my significant other thinks of me. And I had to add that extension to the third one because I didn't put my wife first. So it's like, okay, yeah, above all else, what my significant other thinks of me. And I have a happier life because of it.
Happen outdoors in direct sunlight. A lot of people wear that costume just fine. Some find it exhausting in ways they can't quite put language to. Winter gives you your actual face back, the version that exists at home, in your own rhythm, without an audience. And for people whose inner life is richer than their outer presentation, which is more people than you'd think, that return feels like taking off shoes you've been wearing for 6 months straight. None of this means summer people have it wrong. Some nervous systems genuinely bloom
Water
under
break,
stimulation
guys.
and warmth. The culture we've built, particularly in the West, has historically been far more hospitable to them, which is part of why winter people often move through the world with this low-level sense of being slightly out of step. If you've watched this far, I'd be willing to bet you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't mean that as a vague gesture at some imagined viewer. If this has felt less like information and more like recognition, welcome. Winter lovers aren't miserable people hiding from life. A lot of them are people who've spent years inside environments calibrated for someone else's nervous system, someone else's social appetite and definition of a good time. And for a few months a year, the world reorganizes itself around theirs. The gray skies are not a problem to be solved. They never were. One last reminder, and I only bring up things I'd actually put in front of you. There's a link in the description to a bundle I think a lot of you will find genuinely useful. If this video resonated, there's a decent chance your brain runs hot.
Yeah, I probably don't need that. I am content with who I am. I'm content with who I am. Oh my gosh. But yeah, again, I like the nights. I've always preferred the nights. It's just who I am. It's just who I am. I like, that's how I took to like the graveyard shift, because I work nighttime. I work the graveyard shift. Why? Because my wife was, my fiance, my wife, but I hate the term girlfriend. I think that's just so that doesn't the term girlfriend doesn't fit how we felt about each other or how we talked to each other. So I'll just say wife. My wife was in India. And, of course, she got up during the day. She slept during the night. So I got a nighttime job. I worked the graveyard shift. I worked at a local retail doing the freight and receiving. I was a supervisor there. And I did that for a few years as we were figuring things out. And then I got a government position. I got a government position, and I've been doing that ever since. And yes, now that my wife is with me, it is difficult because she can't do it. Even though she is somewhat a night person and an introvert and loves the cold weather as well, most people's biologies just can't handle that they can't. It's very difficult. But for me, I've been doing it because for me, there was a good reason for me to do it. I love doing it because, heck, when I started talking with my wife, I completely changed my schedule, and then I got a job that adapted to my schedule because I wanted to spend time with her. That was more important than anything else. So I could easily do it. But most people just can't. Most people don't have that. I mean, if let's say my wife was working and I was literally waking up during the day, and I'm pretty sure my wife would have been able to, or if I was working during the day and my wife didn't have any obligations, she could easily adapt to the nighttime schedule. But right now it's more difficult because, trying to spend time with family, trying to meet everybody. It's a difficult perspective right now. So who knows? Maybe things will change. Maybe things will change. But it's fascinating seeing like the winter. I'm not delusional. But yeah, I never thought I was. I know who I am. I'm happy with who I am. I don't try to create fake social constructs. That's honestly the reason why I started doing YouTube more, because all I kept seeing, I kept watching videos on YouTube of, like, especially the really famous ones, people pretending, and you could tell they were pretending. They were fake. They weren't genuine. And I prefer seeing someone who's genuine. I prefer, honestly, the only reason I like Trump as president is because, yeah, you can tell who he is. Is he an ideal leader? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's the thing. It's just you know who he is. Not like a politician who's just in it for themselves. You know who Trump is. But yeah, I've always preferred people being outright and honest with who they are. I know when it comes to the social media and influencer dynamic, you want to be appealable to most audiences. You want to be appealable to everybody. But the world doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as what is it? Something that fits all. One size fits all. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. I've always preferred the content creators who are honest with who they are and put their best foot forward. The sad thing is they don't normally grow as as a massive audience. But the thing is, you feel closer to them. The audience feels closer to them than they do the fake streamers, than they do the fake creators. I think he's hydrated. I'm good. I am good. I'm talking too much. Why does everyone keep saying that? Why does everyone keep saying that? I don't talk too much. I do not talk too much. I do perfectly well. I do perfectly well.
You guys got a video? Why is it so bad?
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Why is it like that?